Whoa, all four wheels off the ground there in the old dolly. Driving lights nosed into the ground a bit there. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Dolomite restoration, the rally car restoration. Not a lot's happened. It's been a long time since I made a video about this car. The welder has been around and did a bit of work, but that was a couple of months ago, and things haven't turned out all that well. He needs to come back to do some more work. Well, the welder's been and done some various welding. This is some strengthening, and I now need to paint it and seam seal it and that sort of thing. And also on the other side. Now, there's 4 bolts that hold the subframe in, and as you can see, that's what this side looks like on the driver's side, down where the bolt that holds the subframe in has had some welding on it. Unfortunately, after the welder had been and gone, the bolt on this side wouldn't come out, but it was turning, so smart me hacksawed it off, thinking the flange that sticks out the bottom was holding it there. That wasn't the case. The welds had broken out, and the whole sort of sleeve and everything had to be taken out. So that's what it looks like on the other side. There's a bit of metal there that I think I welded in, or had welded in there many years ago. This is what came out. I think, as you can see, this was one piece at one point, and I thought this sort of sleeve thing here was what the problem was, rusted to the bolt, so I hacksawed it off. But this was up in the chassis rail, and these welds had broken away and the whole thing was turning. Couldn't see that because there's a great big washer hiding it all. Had to grind the head of the bolt off to eventually get it all out. So now I've got to remake all that. I've got a bit of stainless steel tube and some big washers. These sort of washers that are part of the front suspension. I had some spares, one of those, so I'll have that welded down there. The piece of tube will be welded to that, and then another washer on the other side will be welded to the, and they'll be all welded to the subframe, the sort of chassis rail. And to make both sides the same, I'll weld some washers in on that side as well. So that should fix things up, but it has caused more of a delay, as I have to wait now to another window of opportunity for the welder to come around. The subframe is in a somewhat temporary way at the moment, just to locate the bolt and sleeve where it goes through the chassis rail. The welder needs to come around and weld that large washer to the chassis rail, and correspondingly the one on the other side, and then down underneath the car on the other side of the chassis rail is another washer to be welded. They'll have to be tacked in place, and then subframe removed and welded properly. Also found something that needed a bit of strengthening just here, needs welding, and that seam there was coming apart as well, so that needs to be welded. Up here on the strut brace, the header tank, the little tabs there on the header tank need to be welded to the strut brace. So there's a bit of work to be done, and he still hasn't come around, and well, big delays. What the welder has done for me though is weld up the fuel tank. So it's had quite a lot of welding done on it, and so I might as well get this cleaned up and get it painted, and eventually get it back in the car. As you can see, pretty well the whole bottom of it was rusted out, and all sorts of welding has happened. I think he's done a fairly good job. Been laying around his workshop for some time, waiting on him to pressure test it. So anyway, I'll get on with it. Well, that's cleaned up enough for me, and time to put some paint on. It'll be some sort of metal primer stuff, and then after that dries, a coat of some black paint. Well, it's a new day and it's time to put some black paint on this. It's some sort of rust paint, and considering the patches have been done with stainless steel, I think this thing will see me out. I'm no spring chicken. So let's get on with it. Well, this has been an interesting experience. This paint looks blue in the tin, and when you paint it on it's blue, but it goes black as it dries, and it dries very quickly, and it appears to be a water-based paint, and steam comes off as it dries. It's a weird paint. Well, even though there's been a big delay in relation to the welder, there's also been a big delay in relation to this engine. The engine rebuilder has been exceedingly busy, but he has finally given me back the engine, all nicely bored out, 20 thou I think, and the crank was 10 thou. And all is ground and ready to go back together. And here's all the other components. The crankshaft is ground. Wrapped up in plastic there is the head, fully rebuilt. Some new pistons, and new rings and what have you. Lots of bits and pieces, new oil pump. I've still got to clean up all these old components to make sure I've got everything. There's probably a couple of days work in looking for everything. Gaskets and all the bearings and all the other components that I've bought. Well, one thing is going to be a couple of days looking through all those parts and cleaning all the other parts and making sure I've got every single thing I need before I start actually rebuilding the engine. I don't want to be halfway through and find I need a part and lose my train of thought and make a mistake. What I've already noticed in looking through some of the parts is, believe it or not, I didn't order any new sprockets, timing chain sprockets. So that's going to be a delay. Pre-vise it would have been about a week's delay, but now it's probably a 2-week delay to get some sprockets. Unless I can source them locally, maybe I'll give that a go. So that brings us to about the end of this episode. Not much happened, but that's the way it goes. So tune in, same duck time, same duck channel, for more restoration on the dolly, when you'll probably see me put the fuel tank in it, I guess. That or rebuilding the engine. Bye for now.